Shri Prasanna Venkata Gurubhyo Namaha. Now we continue our journey on the Chintana of the Narayana Panjara composed by Shri Prasanna Venkata Dasaru. So here Prasanna Venkata Dasaru has spoken about the glory of Narayana, how he is viewed by the devotee, and how he took the avatars in his different forms were explained. And in those avatars, how he came to the aid of his devotees and how he vanquished the foes of the dharma were all described very well. And then he said that think about the Rupa of Narayana with the Shankha Chakra Gada Padma and then sing about his glory. That he did. After that, he moves on now to a state of direct speech to Paramatma. You have just now understood that he is right in front of you, he is inside you, and his form, he is appealing to the Lord about what his prayer is. Like, what is a prayer that a person can do? Grant me this, grant me that, and all. When we see Gopal Dasaru's song, he says that, Ena bedali ninna balige bandu, ನೀನಿಟ್ಟ ಸೌಭಾಗ್ಯ ನಿಮಿಡವಾಗಿದೆ ಎನಗೆ. You have already given me everything that one can require, because the Jivatma as such, it requires a body to do the sadhana in order to escape this samsara. Rather, to be free from the shackles of samsara, the important requirement is the human form. And in the human form, all the mental faculties, if they are working well, then Paramatma has bestowed the biggest saubhagya on that Jivatma. Gopal Dasaru says, then after you have given me all this, what is there for me to ask more? After all, if I ask, can I ask for a brother? What did Vali to do to his brother? Can I ask for a mother? What did Dhruva's mother do to him? Can I ask for a family? What did Gajendra's family do? They abandoned him. They could not do anything for him. When he really needed their help, they could not do anything, because physically and in any way, there is no thing that anyone else can do. Anyone cannot have their independence in doing anything. And that is what Paramatma says in the Bhagavad Gita also. He says, Na kartrutvam, na karmani, lokasya srijati prabhu. Na karma phala samyogam, swabhavastu pravartate. So according to the swabhava only, the jivas will be behaving as per Paramatma's ichha. There is no other way anyone else can usurp the independence of Paramatma, because they cannot possibly do it. So Swabhava is accepted. Swabhava means Paramatma, who is the Bimba. Bhava is the person or the Jiva who gets that Rupa as per Paramatma. So Swabhava. Here, as per the Swabhava or the innate nature of Dasaru himself, he is the devotee of Paramatma and he is seeking to be his Dasa. He is seeking to be singing his glory. So he's saying, if I live, then I should live to sing your glory. I should live to sing and chant your names with glee. Make me that way, he says. And that can happen only with the Sangha of the elevated souls. So bless me so that I am surrounded by the elevated souls. This is his entreaty to the Paramatma in the 29th verse. So we are now looking at that. Let us begin as usual with the Pallavi. Narayanaya namo, Narayanaya namo, Narayanaya namo, Narayana. Naradara mukhadinda narakastara ebbisida, Narayanaya namo, Narayana. I bow down to that Narayana who is full of the mastery, who can make things happen, who is the only one who is having the ability to make people do. Otherwise, no one can do anything at all. How so, if you ask? The beautiful example which we can think about is the Bimba Pratibimba Bhava, as explained by Acharya Madhva. If you stand in front of the mirror and then if you lift your hand, then the mirror image also lifts. But if you tell the mirror image, please lift your hand, it cannot lift the hand unless and until the object is changing the hand shapes, then only the image can also change. So image is not, it is not possible, that's all. So the jiva, if he says that why should God make it do happen for me, I only can do none. If that prashna is having, if that is a question which is arising in people's minds, the answer is this, that just as the image in the mirror cannot lift its hands, it is physically not possible at all. It is not at all possible. So why? Because it's the state of the image. What is the actual status? That status only the jiva is in. The jivatma has no independence in action. And so if Paramatma makes it to sing the glory of God, then they can sing. So then what is the point of having the Shastras or even of the same Devarnama, Prasanna Venkata Dasaru, Narayana Namo Narayana, he's singing, no? Then why should he sing if he cannot do anything? Then there's no need to say anything to him. But that is where we have to understand that saying things in the Shastras, which have been told that you have to do certain things, you should not do certain things, this is to allow us to give the um, thought process to what is good for us and what is not, and then to choose that. Whether we are choosing through our wish or not is not the thing that is going to happen. What will happen will happen. And if we have chosen it to happen, like in our own mind, we have accepted, okay, we want this to happen, it's good for me. Then what happens? The mental attitude of the jiva shifts. And because of that, the bondage of the jiva in karmas starts to becoming leavening, like the bread leavens from the, there's a lot of fluffy. I mean, it doesn't stick to the base. Like that way, this jiva stops sticking to the environment or the body or the actions or the experiences. For that, we need the grace of Paramatma and we have to beseech him to make us to engage in the Nama Sankirtana. To that level, he is saying that if I live, I should live to sing your name. ಬದುಕಿಪ್ಯಾದರೆ ನಿನ್ನ ಹೊಗಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೊಗಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬದುಕಿ ಸೈ ನಾರಾಯಣಾಯ ನಮೋ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಬುಧರ ಸಂಗತಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಮನ್ನಿಸೆನ್ನನು ತಂದೆ ನಾರಾಯಣಾಯ ನಮೋ ನಾರಾಯಣ. The jiva is of a very nature to associate with what it is surrounded by. When we are in the body and when we are surrounded by things, we are influenced by that. The environmental factors influence us. So when the environment is conducive to the glory of Paramatma, to sing the glory of Paramatma, a jivatma who is of that nature can progress to the best. If he is in a very opposite environment, it will be difficult for him to do the same thing. So the best way to engage in the Nama Sankirtana with joy is to associate with those who are of the like mind and elevated already. That's why he is saying Budara Sangati Kottu. Budaru means those who are knowledgeable, those who know. If I associate with those people, then I can be elevated. That is what is the thought process here. Here we can look at the Devarnama by Sri Rajaru. He says, ಉತ್ತಮರ ಸಂಗ ಎನಗಿತ್ತು ಸಲಹೋ ಚಿತ್ತಜ ಜನಕ ಸರ್ವೋತ್ತಮ ಮುಕುಂದ. In this shloka, he is saying that again and again I am being thrown into the samsara of birth and death. And I am doing the same kind of negative karma which is causing me grief. But I don't want to be in this anymore. For that, the most important thing that I would require is to associate with the elevated beings. So Sripad Rajaru clearly tells that if we are with elevated beings, then we can be moving away from this state of doing the same type of karma. Tiru tirigi puttalare, parara ಬಾಧಿಸಲಾರೆ, ಪರಿಪರಿಯ ಪಾಪಗಳ ಮಾಡಲಾರೆ, ಮರಣ ಜನನಗಳೆರಡು ಪರಿಹಾರವ ಮಾಡೈ Karuna Samudra, Muravairi Shri Krishna. So he has to make us to associate with the elevated peoples. In that way, we will be able to get free from the fetters of samsara. So if you make me live, then make me associate with those who are devoted to you, and let me sing the names and understand you through bhakti. Then he elaborates on this, how to sing the glory of Paramatma. Then he says, Kiviyalli Mukhadalli Ninna Namada Nenevu, Narayana Namo Narayana, Kavalagadantirisi, Tava Padabjava Toru, Narayana Namo Narayana. He's telling Nodo, Kiviyalli, in my ears, let your Nama be the nectar that is flowing through always. Mukhadalli, through my mouth, let me sing your name. And that is what is the way that a person can actually sing the glory of Paramatma. Narayana Namo Narayana. Kavalagadantirisi means let it not be separated. Let the ear always hear to your glory. Let the mouth always sing your name. There should not be a break. That way you please make it, he says. And so if that happens, what happens? Tava padabjava toru. If that happens, then Paramatma's grace falls on that devotee and he can perceive the feet of Paramatma. That Narayana, I bow down, who is the Ashraya for everyone. Ashraya to live and to do the sadhana. Bhava bhavadi tolali bala balali balu danide. Narayana namo Narayana. Bhava virinjadi karige abhaya dane. Ni salahu Narayana namo Narayana. Bhava bhavadi. Bhava bhavadi means this samsara is coming again and again. It's like a cycle. The same situation keeps coming. Same situation, we are tackling it in the same way. And so we again fall into the same trap. So he's saying, again and again, I'm falling into the same samsara of mine, mamakara and ahankara. And I'm having the pain of it. Tola tolali, bala balali. We are swimming in that. When we are accosted with a situation where our ego is hurt, then we feel grief, we feel depressed, we feel sad, we feel anger. All these negative elements which enter into our mind cause us the feeling of insecurity and sadness. That is balali balali. Bala balali means to experience the pain from that. Balu nonde is saying, I have been through this many times and I am feeling very much of, I'm feeling lot of grief or pain for this. I bow down to you, O Narayana. Bhava Virinchadi Karige Abhayadane. You have given the Abhaya to even the Virincha. Virincha means who is the expander of the world. I mean, Brahma was put in the situation where he should be creating. He is the creator. Through him, Paramatma creates. But at the time when Brahma was born, he was also in a state of fear. That time Paramatma gave him the Upadesha, Tadvi Tapaha, Tadvi Tapaha. Perform the tapas of Paramatma, Tapaha Alochane. So think about him, sing his glory. That was the Upadesha, and by that he was uplifted. The same way to Rudra. Rudra was saved by Paramatma. He was removed from the fear of being burnt by the Bhasmasura. Then he gave Abhaya to Kari. Kari means the Gajendra. So when Gajendra was thinking that someone else will help him and he was waiting, nothing happened for 1,000 years, they say. He waited. And then finally he sang out to the Lord that he cannot wait anymore and that Paramatma, who is the Sarva Samartha or the most capable one who has no obstacles, should save him. At that time, Paramatma came and uplifted him. Just as you have saved them all when they called you, I am also calling you today. So please uplift me. This is the Dhwani in Prasanna Venkata Dasaru's story. So in the story also we see that Prasanna Venkata Dasaru as a youth, he suffered at the hands of his sister-in-law in the sense that he was not given proper food and water. And I think for a human being, the food and water comes as an important necessity of life. If that is not there, or even if the after that, the second thing, food and water is also not good, and then the way the treatment is, the mentally how he's been abused, all these are the onslaughts of the samsara. It is not one person's cause, it is our own karma that is dealing out to us. So, in that way, to remove this, we have to understand his kartrutva, Paramatma's sarva kartrutva, and then beseech him to enable us to do the seva through our mouth and ear, and surrender to him, begging him to take us away from this cycle of birth and death. And for that, the beseeching goes on. He says that you are the father, you are the mother. Ni tai, ni tande, ni bandhu, ni balaga. Narayanaya namo Narayana. Nitigalan ariye ninnaya namave gatiyu. Narayanaya namo Narayana. Ni tai. Now that surrender, how deep it is when a person is able to surrender above every other relationship in the world, then Paramatma will be gracing that devotee, is the words of Acharya Madhva in the sloka when he tells about the bhakti. He said that that Mahatmya Jnana Purvastu Sudruda Sneha Sarvatodika Tayor Mukti Nacha Anyata. Sarvatodika means above all the love and affection that we have for anyone in the world, if we can have towards Paramatma with the knowledge of his greatness and his karuna or benevolence, then he will come and uplift the devotee to moksha. He'll get freedom from this samsara. So that attitude, with that he's saying, I want to surrender to you because inside the mother, you are the mother. Inside the father, you are the father. Inside the bandhu, you are the bandhu. Inside the balaga, you are the balaga. So whoever has done anything, they had done for his own good. Adadalla ollite aitu. When the father and mother did penance or seva to Venkateshwara, then the boy was born, and this Prasanna Venkata Dasaru had the Upadesha of the Gayatri mantra, and then he had the Lalana and Palana from his mother for a few times, for a few years. And that love and affection is only because of Paramatma's grace, is what his feeling is. So he is having that attitude when he says that you are my father and mother, and not just in this Janma or in this birth. You are the father and mother for eternity. There was no time when you were not the father or not the mother. Same way, ni bandhu, ni balaga. You are my most closest bandhu. Bandhu means relative because he is always inside us and he is related to us as the Swami. All we see so many relationships in the world. Here, one relationship that we have with Paramatma is that we are his dasas, ni bandhu, ni balaga. You are the balaga, friendship. He is the biggest friend because the Bhagavata calls him as the unknown friend. Avijñata sakaha means who is the unknown friend inside each and every one of the jivatmas. And so, Narayana Namo, that's why I bow down to you. You are the one. Okay, I love my mother, I love my father, I love my relatives and devote and friends. If we say that, Prasanna Venkata says that all these people have been given to me and who have been loving me or showering their affection on me is only because you were inside them. You are the one who is the mother, father, because the mother has that capability to shower the affection on the child, irrespective of what the child's attitude may be, irrespective of what the physical shape of the child may be, irrespective of the capabilities of the child. She still loves it and wishes the good for it. So, this kind of attitude is superhuman, which is not seen in any other position of the human, uh, cadres. Like if you see any other relationship, this level of sacrifice from the mother's side is not seen in any other relationship. And that level is caused only because of Paramatma being inside them as the mother. So this is a general rule where the mother shows the affection. Nights also she wakes up. Oh, let the baby cry. What for me? She will not sleep like that. She'll wake up. The same time, when the baby is not taking the medicine and crying, she will somehow manage to give the medicine. So these are all things that the mother does. And the father will go to all extremes to provide the proper food, nutrition, and the growth of the baby. A safe environment, good teachers, and all that, whatever is possible for him. And the same way, the bandhus and the balagas are also contributing to our well-being and nurturing us towards elevated places. So this attitude that Paramatma is inside each of them, and he is the main cause for us to be showered with such affection, knowing that he is calling him as the Bandhu, the Balaga, and everything. Because it is not just in this Janma, but for any times to come, he is only going to be the person who bestows us with the mother, resides inside the mother, and showers the affection. Similarly, for the father, the Bandhu, and the Balaga. Then he's saying all the nitis that I explained in the Shastras, this is the Vidura nitis, the Dharma niti, what is the thing that I have to do, what I should not be doing. There, all this I don't know, he's saying. Dasaru is coming to Paramatma. And on behalf of us, he's telling, Nitigal ariye, ninnaya namave gatiyu. I only know your name, Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. I will only be able to do that. Narayana Namo, Narayana Namo. So he is beseeching God to tell him that whatever may be the rules, regulations in the perform of worship and other things, we may be having lot of flaws. In today's world especially, the knowledge has not been brought down through a proper lineage to every family. So there is a lot of misconceptions about puja and what they have to do, how their thoughts should be, and all these things. So because of that, on behalf of all the jivatmas in today's world, Prasanna Venkata is beseeching Paramatma that please forgive us for our lack of knowledge in about how we have to do things. But we will chant your name, O Lord. Please make us do that. Narayanaya Namo Narayana. You are the source of all auspiciousness. And auspiciousness comes to us by the chanting of your name. So let us do that more and more, he says. Tanu nechiki illa, chittada gatiyu neetilla. Narayanaya Namo Narayana. Tanaya Taruni Koneya Sangatige Arilla. Narayanaya Namo Narayana. Telling this world, okay, we can say that I have my body, I am very strong, and my mental faculties are good. I can only take care of myself. How can we say that? He says. I can never tell that, says Dasaru, because the Tanu is Nirina Melna Gulle is what some Dasarus explain about the body. There is no perfect time when the Jiva might be taken or called away from the body. That temporariness is to be recognized by the sadhaka. And so he says that how can I, nechike means to, how can I only depend and be sure that this body is going to be my sustainer? It is not. So he says, chittada gatiyu. I don't think this chitta of mine or the memory will be also permanent for me. Whatever is there, matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha, is what Krishna Paramatma says in the Purushottama Yoga. That whatever you think, whatever you remember, or what you forget is all because of me, he says in the Purushottama Yoga. He is the mind, giving the mind the faculty of the mental faculties. Like he says, Manadolage taniddu manavendenisikonbanu is Jagannatha Dasaru's words. The mana behaves in the way of the mana, means it has a sankalpa, it has a vikalpa, it has a want and a feeling of not, don't want, all these kind of impressions that appear into the mind, and the mind's behavior is all caused because Paramatma himself resides in the mind and is called as mind. He makes the mental faculties to happen. So how can a chitta means the memory? How can I depend that think that my chitta will work automatically? What should I do? But you make it happen. See, when we can see this in the instances when a person Okay, we learn that if a person is immersed in water, for more than the number of time that he can hold his breath, then that water will enter into the lungs and the person will be gone. So this knowledge that we have about the science, do you think we can remember it when we are really in the water? What should we do then? So the person, what he has to do is he should not stay in the water more than that time. So if there is a question that there is no way that he can actually come completely out of the water, he will still try to bob his head up and take a deep breath and then go down. So this bobbing up the head is not being done by the actual intellectual knowledge of this fact, but it is being done automatically by the grace of Paramatma. He only is instructing without, he bypasses the memory part of it. Oh, I recalled that I cannot stay in the water, otherwise I will die. No one thinks like this. Oh, because of that, I have to come out. This is not the way that a person saves himself from the drowning situation. What they do automatically, the body itself pushes itself up. How can it do automatically? That means automatically, when we say, we are talking about our intellectual involvement in that action is not there. We never instructed the body to strive to go upwards. Neither did we try to ask the breath to be taken in a gulp. But it just happens. Instinctively is also told by the people. But whatever happens, happens for a reason and is inspired by someone, and that is Paramatma. So that's why Chitta, whatever I have to think about your name, whatever it can be, but that thinking also happens only because of you. I cannot depend on my memory for it, he says. Oh, I have learned all these things, so I can depend on my memory to help me out. That I cannot do because I know is what Prasanna Venkata Dasaru says. I know that I cannot depend on my chitta, he says. Chitta means the memory and also the mind. I cannot depend because when it is going to be out of my control, I don't know. That is the knowledge of Prasanna Venkatadasaru, which he is bringing into his songs, so that we can also beseech Paramatma, whether we know it or not. We are putting forth this plea to him that we are not able to depend on our body or our mental faculties because they are under your control. And we beg of you to make us to remember your name and understand that anything in this world is impermanent. Only you are the most permanent thing everywhere. Tanaya, Taruni, Koneya, Sangatige, Arilla. There is no one who can come along with me. Koneya Sangati. Sangati means to come, be with you. So who will be with you? When you're young, your parents are with you. When you're in a youthful state, then your husband is with you. When you're old, your children might be with you. But finally, when the jiva has to leave the body, what are all these people to them? The son or the child, the mother, grandchild, whatever it can be. Does it have any kind of relationship with that person as such, not the body? Never. Because of that only he's saying that the body is the one who is having these. Let the jivatma, who is above and away, different from the body, be always in touch with Paramatma by singing his name. He is the one who is the permanent one. He is your permanent relation. That has been explained through saying that ni tai, ni tande, ni bandhu, ni balaga. After that has been told, then he says that this body and its accompanying factors, faculties are all under your control. So I beg of you to help me to think about you, listen to your glory, and move away from the shackles of samsara. So this is the few verses that we have done today, and we will continue from the 33rd verse in the next sitting. I thank you all for being here with me and trying to contemplate on the Narayana Panjara. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu.